This podcast is for the daydreamers who like imagining new lives and new beginnings but don't quite know where to start. Hi, it's Julian from Rappler and you're listening to Teach Me Senpai. This is episode 7. Why do people get tattoos? Some use them as reminders for important memories, some as celebrations for exciting milestones in their lives, and others as a way to express their personalities. Tattoos are art, and in my opinion, a very high form at that. Today we listen to one of the most famous artists in the local tattoo scene, Wiji Lacsamana, also known as Curious Wiji. We find out how she got into tattooing, the interesting story behind the first time she ever tattooed anyone, and all her other curious interests. Hello, Wiji. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I follow you on Instagram, and I followed you for like a long time. So now that you're here, parang ako, she's here.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to start off by asking about your name on Instagram. So it's Curious Wiji.
Yes.
Why the name?
It started out as a placeholder because, this was when I started tattooing, but I didn't know, like, I was gonna open up my own studio. I didn't know if it was just gonna be a tattoo studio or an illustration studio. So it's like, because I'm very curious, I feel like that described me that time, well, until now. Yeah.
Oh, and then nag-stick na lang yung name.
Nag-stick, and I don't know what to replace it with na. Parang, my whole name sounds so serious if I just put like my whole name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also cute kasi like Curious Wiji. Parang, okay,
Who's
that's
this
cute.
person?
I honestly didn't, is Wiji a nickname?
Yes, it's a nickname.
What's it?
My real
short
name
for?
is Luigi.
Oh, that's so cute.
Parang my parents thought they were gonna have a boy. Tapos, nilagay na yata ng mom ko sa, I don't know, whatever paper that was. And then, mali pala yung doctor. Like, when she gave birth, obviously I'm a woman. They're like, oh no, but it's there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Luigi was like how she called me if things were okay. And then she called me Luigi when she was mad.
Oh.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, so tattooing wasn't your first foray into art, diba?
Mm-hmm.
And I know na you also illustrate, you've been featured on Adobe, I've seen your watercolor illustrations and your sketches. So I wanted to ask how you got into art and where does the interest in art come from?
I guess since I was born, one of my earliest memories involved me drawing on my mom's walls.
With permanent marker ba?
Possibly.
So mahilig ka na sa permanent art?
Yeah. Yeah, and even as a kid, I remember there were these chips na may kasamang temporary tattoos before when I was a kid, and I would always put those on my body. But yeah, art, I was always drawing since as long as I remember. But I didn't get into art school, so that kind of stopped in college. But the heart wants what the heart wants, I'd say. So I continued after college.
Oh, and you took political science?
Yeah, I took political science.
Why political science?
You're young, but I know my first course was a course called Organizational Communication. And then I shifted to political science because I was a big fan of a band called Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
You know them?
Yeah,
they're lawyers, and I was like, and I'm a huge fan of them. So I figured, why not take the same course as my favorite rock stars? And I also like reading, and also we only had like 2 basic math classes.
Oh, okay.
That was a big, it was either that or literature, I was also thinking of taking up literature, but I don't think I have the skills for writing. Like I just like reading.
So how did you get back into art? So you did political science as your course. I know you also taught something related to political science
politics and governance.
Politics and governance. Yeah. I'm so serious.
I know.
So how did that transition go from, I guess, like that point in your life to illustration into art?
It's a long and winding road. After college, I tried out multiple jobs that were was at first sort of related to my course. I was teaching, and then I tried to work in government offices, and
Okay.
I didn't last more than 6 months in any office setting. However, when I tried doing freelance work in the creative field, it felt, yeah, I lasted more in those. And I was fortunate enough to be friends who still are in the creative field. So I was able to do projects with them. Like I did styling, I would do, like I would help them out with graphics, music videos or commercials. Yeah, so I somehow sort of found myself embedded into a creative path.
This wasn't like a regular employment na
No,
scenario, right?
no.
Not a lot of people would be so willing to go from having a stable job and like a career path,
Yeah.
tapos biglang freelancing, and it wasn't related pa to your course. Like, what convinced you to take that risk?
Well, first of all, I'm not the most rational person. Like I just jump in and take risks. But second, I remember I had housemates before, and my housemates were musicians. And then like the friends, my housemates and my other friends, they were all like in the arts field. And I remember waking up one day, I still went to an office job before. And I remember waking up one morning, it was like 7 a.m. And I was thinking, why am I the only one not in love with my life? Like I was really questioning, why am I the only one stuck in this office job? Like, obviously I'm not as musically gifted as my other friends who are musicians, but like, how did they get there? And I realized the first step is in deciding that you want to pursue what you want. And the second step is analyzing, wait, what do I want ba? Because I was just working all these jobs. I didn't know. I was just going through life.
Oh my gosh.
The regular route, right?
Yeah,
so if you
yeah,
want
yeah.
things to stop, you do something about it.
Yeah.
And thankful rin that I was surrounded by these people who were doing what they were passionate about.
Yeah.
It
I
was
think
a
that's
wake-up call.
helpful. You were surrounded by people who were also doing their thing and were happy doing their thing.
Have you read the book The Artist's Way?
I have not.
Yeah, it's a really good book. I highly recommend it. But I just read it during the pandemic, and there's a term called shadow artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that was what I was in the beginning of my career, because shadow artists are people who surround themselves with artists or people pursuing their passions, but they remain shadows. They're just parang hiding behind the light of the people who follow their passions, but they're there because we are afraid to declare who we are pa. We're not quite there. And so, I don't know, it's a really good book. I recommend it for everyone.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I felt that. I quit.
No, don't quit.
Joke, nagtanggal ng label.
Yeah.
Umalis.
Oo.
Wow, that's so cool. And then, from that point of view, that's when you parang decided na, okay, I'm gonna do art. I'm gonna...
Yeah, well, it was not illustration necessarily, but I wanted to do something in the creative field. Not, I mean, some people are okay with day jobs. No shade in that.
Yeah.
Parang they're good at that, but I wasn't meant for that. I knew, like, it manifested physically in me. Whenever I had to go to an office, I would get really sick. It just was manifesting physically on me, and I realized something's wrong here. Yeah.
Oh. So how did you go from doing a lot of creative jobs to finally settling down, una in illustrating and then in tattooing? How did that transition happen?
I feel like those happened around the same time. Because I also feel like around the same time I discovered tattooing. Tattooing helped my illustration skills level up as well. Parang these two things were in tandem, developing me as a person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people who follow your work already know how you got started in tattooing. Because like, it's such a parang...
It's a common question.
It's a common question. Plus, like, how you actually got started, parang, I don't know, I find it so interesting.
Because it's a long and winding story.
No, but like, as in your first time tattooing din, diba?
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe for those who haven't, who don't know how you got started into tattooing, maybe you could share with us.
Well, the first time I tattooed was during a night. My friend invited me and a bunch of our other friends to go to our friend's tattoo studio. The original 55 Tinta in Maginhawa, actually. My friends own that. So our friend invited us there because it was his birthday. And so I went there thinking, you're going to be drinking. But when I got there, he was lying down on the tattoo bed. And our friend June, an actual tattoo artist, made like little windows on his back for all of us to tattoo in. Yeah, and so that was the first time I tattooed.
What did you draw?
It looks like a Twitter bird.
Oh.
It was a yellow Twitter bird looking thing. I didn't even know I was referencing Twitter at the time. Yeah.
Grabe. First of all, ang brave ng person.
Crazy guy.
Grabe.
But he has the ugliest tattoos, if you can imagine, because we weren't all tattoo artists. A bunch of us knew how to draw, but tattooing on skin is so much different.
Yeah. Oh, because skin is mushy.
Yeah.
And then it bleeds.
And then the person moves and then, the machine is vibrating.
Oh my gosh. So, was that the first time you fell in love with tattooing? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Tattooing. Before then, I've been collecting tattoos on me. But I never thought about it as a career because it's hard. It never crossed my mind until that night. It was like, I don't know, surfing for the first time. The stoke is the word I can think of.
And then after that, you got an apprenticeship, right?
Yes.
Yeah, how was that apprenticeship? And it was with
June, the guy who was helping us tattoo, and like he was teaching us that night how to hold the machine, how not to like stab our friend, who was on the bed. I went home that night. Usually, when I go to parties and drink, when I go home, I just pass out and sleep. But I couldn't sleep that night. I kept like the motions of me tattooing his back was on replay in slow motion in my head. And so I texted June, our friend who was there. I texted him, June, I really enjoyed what happened a while ago. Would you take me in as an apprentice? And I got no message. I got no reply. But to be fair, that was early morning, But then the whole week, I got no reply from him. And I was like, I'll try to text him again. Kakapalan ko na yung mukha ko. So I texted him like, hey June, I don't know if you got my message last week, but would you take me in as your apprentice? And he replied, you passed the first test.
You needed to want it so bad.
Scrub. Wax on, wax off. Yeah.
Oh, what did the apprenticeship look like, I guess? Like, what were the things na tinuro sa'yo ni June?
I think my apprenticeship with him isn't a normal apprenticeship if you compare it to how it is in most tattoo studios. Because I feel like he was scared to he's a great teacher, but he was like, I'm his first apprentice ever. And he was like, I don't know what to teach you. But I was like, no, I'm a great student. I can be very insistent when I want to be. I'm a great student. So what it was like was when he had clients, I would be there to shadow him and teach and also learn how he set up his station. So I would just be there for the first few months. You have to observe, see what he does. But he was also very lenient with me in that I had to bring in willing models for me to learn on. I also tattooed on, because I'm a vegetarian, other people learn on pig skin.
Yeah.
So I begged him not to let me do that. I brought in pomelos instead. And tas may snacks pa kami after. Yeah, so that was it.
Oh, usually I draw on eggs.
Really?
But in your case, it's like pomelo and like it's actual tattoo.
Yeah, it has pores. So parang it's
quite
close
similar.
to,
Plus I guess because like it's mushy.
Yes, and it's round, so it's not a flat surface. I mean, now you can learn on silicone practice skins, but I really like learning on fruit because it's round.
And then you can eat it after.
Yes.
Pag gutom ka, in the middle.
Exactly.
Kuha ka lang.
Yes.
How long was the apprenticeship?
I don't really know exactly when I ended. I'd like to say a year, but I may be wrong. But even till now, whenever I go to be fair, I haven't seen my mentor since the pandemic, but I feel like even if I went to him to a tattoo fair for sure, I'm still gonna set up for him. He's my senpai. You know? Yeah, like I will still set up for him. And I feel like that's how apprenticeships should go.
How did you go from learning how to tattoo to being confident na? Like say, okay, I'm ready to tattoo someone.
You just have to. I feel like you never really become 100% confident. Like up to this day, I started in 2009. And up to these, it's always a learning experience. And I feel like that's good when you're not too confident. I feel like if you're overconfident, that's when you lose some sort of, I don't know, something. I feel like you have to be on your toes, especially when tattooing. You have to be super alert and focused.
It has a lot of like implications kasi, di ba?
Yeah.
Like it's permanent and then there's like health concerns.
Yeah, and you know, the pressure coming from a client. Not that they're rude, but they're trusting their skin to you.
How do you make them comfortable enough? And parang comfortable na nga sa'yo, confident pa?
The confident part, hopefully, they've seen my portfolio and past work I've done. The comfortable part, it's a personality thing, I think. I mean, some people are more introverted. I can be a very madaldal artist, and I also like talking to people. That's one of my favorite parts about tattooing is getting to meet people from different walks of life. So I really like that part. Yeah.
You know, come to think of it, I agree. Like, it's very personality-based. Because when I got my tattoo, I think yung artist ko sensed that I was an introvert. So we were quiet the whole time.
Are you an introvert?
I'm an introvert. I like it, and it's so funny because like I interview people and have to like be very engaged.
Exactly.
But after this conversation, I'm just gonna shut down in one corner.
I think I'm an ambivert naman. In that I have no problem meeting new people. Yeah, but like after this interview, I'm gonna cocoon in my house.
Yeah, so I think my artist kind of sensed that. So after like our initial conversations, we were just quiet the entire time. It was like a good 3 hours or less, maybe less. Na we were just quiet, and then he would just ask me, okay ka pa? Gusto mo magbanyo?
But were you comfortable with that?
Oh, I was
silence?
so comfortable.
How you like the silence?
I liked it. I really enjoyed it. Tapos parang, I felt like I was at Zen. Tapos solo pa namin yung studio at the time.
Nice.
Or like, I think there was another client, pero they just came in and went. Mabilis lang, yeah. So parang most of the time it was just us. But yeah.
It can be super relaxing, no?
Yeah.
The process.
And it wasn't that painful for me. I guess kasi yung body part that I chose, like I chose it deliberately na I knew it wasn't close to the bone, ganyan.
Yeah, but it's different per person. And also maybe your tattoo artist was gentle.
Yeah, I think so then, yeah. He was very good.
yeah, it's a really nice tattoo you have.
So, what is it about tattoos that interest you?
Well, it's evolving over time. When I started getting tattooed on me, it meant something else. And then when I started, I like that it's a story of where you are at a particular point in your life. And, I mean, whenever, especially your first ones, right?
Yeah.
Most people's first tattoos mean so much to them. And it's a marker. It's like a chapter in a book. Like, this was the chapter. This was my life then. And then you see the evolution. Now also, I see it as a healing tool. Is it a tool? No, it's a healing thing that you put on your body because, I really feel that it resonates in your psyche, in your aura, like the stuff that you put. So I feel like be careful if you're putting like a tattoo that's a memory of a bad experience. I'm like, do you really want to see it there forever? Then it's,
that's true.
I don't know. It's just, but it's so interesting tattooing all these years and seeing how these things mean to the chapters that people go through and the stuff that they want to remember forever.
Parang it never crossed my mind, yung ganyang perspective.
Really?
Yeah, kasi so come to think of it, when I got my tattoo, I was thinking of parang this is my way of reminding myself that there are good days, parang ganyan. And hearing you say that, parang na-relive ko yung experience, parang, that's actually nice. Parang way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's like a scent, right? Certain scents trigger a memory.
Yeah.
And that's the same with tattoos, but it's just there. Like, you can always look at it.
Speaking of scents, since you brought it up now,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go back to tattoos in a while. You did work on a scent then, diba?
Yes.
So you worked on a scent for Manila Pen.
Yes.
Is it still available?
It is, yeah. It is their current signature.
Wow, that's amazing. How did you do that?
Well, I'm a manifesting generator. That's in that I have so many interests, and thus Curious Wiji. I still do it, but not much since the pandemic began. I had a brand called Radioactive Mushrooms in the Forest, where I do natural perfumes, like essences from natural plants and seeds or whatever. And so I just got an email from Peninsula, which I disregarded the first time I read it because I thought it was spam.
Oh, yeah.
Because what? Why are they contacting me?
Yeah, that is very random.
Right? Like, it seems
yeah.
so too good to be true. So I did not reply until they started calling me like, hey, we sent you an email. I was like, oh, that was you guys. Okay.
That's so cool.
It's cool because they were very proactive. They were looking for, they were trying to make their toiletries that more environmentally friendly, but also representative of the area that they are in. So they were revamping the whole thing. The packaging is now biodegradable. They don't use plastic bottles anymore. That's great. And then since they were doing that, they thought, why not get local artisans?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that's amazing. So
when was this? What year was this?
This was 2018, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Or 2019.
So what did you do as like a process of creating the scent for them?
Oh, the brief was to create a scent that is reminiscent of Manila, but also the comfort that the hotel, that Peninsula Manila, provides the people who stay there. So a blend of both. So yeah, something comforting, but also luxurious in a way. Yeah, so I gave them it's nice because it's a very abstract project. And so I gave them a couple of scents, like, this is my interpretation of your brief and a story behind these. And then they choose one. Yeah.
Wow. That sobrang, it's so surprising.
Right. Like, same, I'm surprised too.
Visual arts, tattoos, scents.
Yeah. Anything visceral, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Coming up, we ask about one of Wiji's favorite tattoos on her own body, some of her most memorable designs, and how she got into experimenting with watercolor tattoo styles. You obviously have a lot of tattoos on you. Maybe you could share the stories. Which one is your current favorite?
There are... No, it's hard. It's like me choosing a baby. I don't know. This is my I have a horse, like a lady in a horse tattoo on my forearm, and this is an illustration by one of my favorite illustrators, Carson Ellis, and I had it tattooed. This is my 2020 tattoo because it's based on an illustration on a playing deck of cards, and it says onwards in the original drawing. So it was a 2020 onwards. Like, let's move forward. Let's not let this stop us. Yeah.
Obviously, you also get people who ask you for meaningful tattoos, right?
Yeah.
Which one would you say is one of the most memorable ones?
Oh, I did a mastectomy tattoo. I had an incredible lady. Like, I was crying during our session because she's so amazing. Yeah, it's like sessions like that. She went through breast cancer, obviously, and then she had a mastectomy. And over the scar, the normal route people go through is to put like tattoo nipples
Oh, okay.
on the breast, but she opted to she was like, no, not a nipple. I want a garden on my chest.
Oh,
And so that was so amazing. And she is amazing. One of the most unforgettable clients because she was so strong and happy and brave and encouraging. And I still talk to her from time to time.
oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I imagine this would be maybe like watercolor.
Yes, a
art
watercolor style. Like she wanted like Filipino flowers.
Oh,
Yeah, because she still is based in the States. So she wanted a garden that reminds her of home.
Oh.
Yeah.
Watercolor is one style, right?
Yes.
What are the other styles of tattooing?
Well, there is like Oriental, traditional Americana style, pointillism, the list goes on.
And for you, sa page mo at least, like I think the most prominent is watercolor.
Yeah, that's the style most comfortable with because on paper, when I illustrate, I normally work with watercolor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How was it like translating your actual like watercolor on paper skills to watercolor tattooing? Like how different is it?
I was nervous at first trying it because when I started out, not a lot of people were doing it yet. And so I had to... It's kind of similar except that you can't overdo it because it's the skin. Like on paper, that's all right.
Yeah.
It just gets muddy. But on skin, you only have a couple of tries until the skin is too inflamed. You know? Yeah.
So how did you discover watercolor as a style, and how did you parang decide na okay, this is a style I can pursue?
I saw a lady, and she was based in New York. I think she's in LA now. Her name's Amanda Wacob, and she just blew my mind. She's the first tattooer who I saw made these things, made these watercolor style tattoos. And also my mentor, June, I went to him with a watercolor style design to tattoo on me. So I'm like, mentor, Senpai, teach me. Like, you can do this. And so we practiced. I have a portrait of my Lola here in watercolor style. And so we were trying to figure it out together. Like, yeah.
Grabe, very experimental tas on yourself.
Yeah, but it's my Lola. Parang it'll mean so much anyway, even if we didn't get the style. But I mean, he did an amazing job. It's still a really beautiful tattoo.
How different is the process to other forms of tattooing?
I need to go over the skin more times than the average tattoo. Like the traditional tattoos, normally it's like a color you block in, right? Like when you think of coloring books, but there are the lines, then you color inside the lines. Whereas watercolor style tattoos requires different layers, subdued layers of pigment going inside. So it can't be saturated right away.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a longer process, I'd say.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
When you watercolor, diba, it's like you go with the flow. Literally, because it's water. How does that work with tattooing? Do you plan ahead what's gonna happen? Because okay, in watercolor, for example, if you want to do gradients, diba, sometimes you can dilute or you can mix the colors on the paper and whatever happens.
Exactly.
But on skin, you don't really have that, right?
Yeah, well, I dilute the inks also. There's the similarity in that sense. I can dilute the inks. But there is a little bit more planning than on paper because, it hurts. You want to take... You don't want to take too long on a particular part of the skin. Yeah.
How long? I guess it depends on the size of the tattoo. But usually, say it's like a simple watercolor tattoo, say 3 inches by 3 inches. How long does that usually take you?
Actually, I'm the worst person to ask about that because when I'm tattooing, I lose all sense of time. So I don't know.
So how does that work then? Because obviously you book clients.
Yeah.
So what's the time range that you give them?
Oh yeah, that's true, no? Normally my example is Sundays. I tattoo in QC. I take in clients around 1 p.m. Maybe that's a great point. I end maybe around 3:30 and then for an average, like a medium-sized tattoo. And then my next client is around 3:30 to like 6, maybe 2 to 3 hours, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, for a medium-sized thing.
How do you come up with your designs?
Oh, I customize everything for clients. Well, it depends on their brief. Like, what elements do they want there? What does it mean to them? I always like having conversations with clients via email. The placement can alter how I shape it as well, right?
That's true.
like
Yeah.
if I'm putting it on your arm, on your back, or on your ribs, it's gonna look a certain way.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh no. Because like when you draw on paper, it's flat, right?
Yes.
But when you draw on skin, it's gonna be curved.
Yeah, and
it's
like
gonna
some
have
areas,
knobs.
you can be vertical, you can be horizontal. So it depends.
So does your stencil then look, I guess, different? Like depending on where you put it?
Well, it's less defined than like a traditional tattoo style, right? Because I just have little blobs and I have a marker where like ako lang nakakaintindi what's going on there. Yeah.
You talk to clients ahead of time and you
Mhm.
make custom designs for them.
Yes.
Do you ever do, because I know some artists, they do flash flash tattoos. They post on Instagram and then you can reserve that, right? Do you
Yes.
ever do that?
Yeah, I do that.
How do you come up with your designs on for flash tattoos?
I come up with themes. Like, well, years ago, like I released an oracle deck. So parang the flash was my illustrations as tattoos.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
from that deck.
Wow.
But soon I'm coming up with a bunch of flash sheets also. Recently, I just released like a Halloween themed flash sheet. So yeah, can be whatever. Depends. Or
Depends
what I
on what you're curious on.
Yeah, I'm opening my private studio again soon, and I want to come up with a flash sheet of stuff that I really want to tattoo, and then people don't normally ask for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I don't know, I perform better if I'm excited, obviously, about the design.
Yeah,
like any other
yeah.
artist. Yeah,
Yeah. Like what, for example? If you can give an example.
I like what do you these kaiju, kaiju.
Oh, like the Japanese
Yeah.
monsters?
Yeah, they have cute little toys that are super weird, and I would love to tattoo those. Yeah,
Oh.
and they come in different weird neon colors.
Yeah. Do you ever experience artist's block, burnout?
Yes, definitely.
How do you cope with that? And how do you like overcome it?
I experienced the worst one pre-pandemic when I overbooked myself.
Oh.
When I had my own private studio, and there was a time, January or Feb palang book na ako till December. And that's not,
That's a good thing.
That's
But
good.
also
yeah, but like I didn't rest. That's good in that I appreciate. Thank you very much, clients, for trusting me.
Yeah.
Booking with me so early. But at the same time, well, it wasn't good for my mental health. And also, I really want to take care of this craft of tattooing. So I don't want to do that again. So that's how I take care of myself now, is by setting boundaries also. Because back then also I tattooed where I lived. And so there really was no boundary. So now it's like protecting what I love the most by setting boundaries.
And now, so you said that in the future you're gonna open up your own studio again.
Well,
right
it's
now
kinda
you're
open now.
with Crimson.
Sundays, I am a
Sundays
guest
with
artist at
Crimson?
Crimson
Okay.
River. And then I also guest at Tattoo Nebula in BF Homes. But I actually just opened my studio, but I haven't like publicly announced it yet because I'm
okay.
still figuring out the admin work, like the calendars. I'm delaying that part.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
see. But so most of the time you're with Tattoo Nebula?
No naman. An equal amount. I'm just
Okay.
like really regular in QC. Sundays, Tattoo Nebula, it's really near my place, so that's a little more fluid. But then I just started taking in clients in my studio, so
So what does your calendar look like?
weird. But actually, my calendar really depends on my son's calendar because I have an 8-year-old, and so I book clients when he's coming home na from school, stuff like that.
Do you ever Do you ever ask your son what he thinks about your job?
Yeah.
What does he think of your
He
job?
doesn't think it's cool. He thinks
No way!
Yeah, I was like, do you want to get a tattoo? I was telling him. I was kidding him, like, when you're above 18, like, I'll tattoo. He's like, no, I'm never getting a tattoo.
What?
I feel like he thinks it's lame because mom does it.
No. Oh, honestly, I think, yeah, I feel like as kids, we think that our parents' jobs are just so
Right?
meh. But like when you grow up and you realize, I mean, come on, your mom is a tattoo artist.
I don't know. Maybe I hope he thinks I'm cool someday. I don't know.
We touched on your involvement with Crimson River,
Mhm.
and Crimson River is by also like a famous artist, so Gigi Bear,
Yeah.
and a couple of other women.
Yes, we are an all-woman studio.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk about that because like
Yeah.
an all-women studio, tattoo studio at that. Do you ever come across, I guess, like stereotypes, stigma, any difficulties with that in that regard, or hindi na ngayon? Because like I guess mas open na ngayon yung society
I think
to
so.
tattooing.
Yeah, I think so. But a lot of people ask me about that. And I don't know if I'm just lucky to be at the place where I am surrounded by the people I surround myself with. But I don't think I experience the stereotypes one might. Or maybe I'm just like so far away from the people who might have stereotypes. I don't know. But I love the Crimson Girls because it's like such a supportive environment. And we're all, majority of us are moms. And so, you know, there's no time for drama. We're all busy with our kids. Like this week we have an event, but it's also our kids' assessment weeks in school. So we're all like busy reviewing our kids, preparing for the tattoo flash sheets for the event. And we're just like, we're each other's support system. So it's amazing.
How has the scene been since the pandemic? Do you get more clients now, or did you have more clients before?
I feel like we get more clients now, surprisingly. I was nervous during the pandemic. I was thinking about possible shifts in my career because it's a non-essential work when you think about it. But then when we started slowly opening the studios, so many people were lining up to get tattooed. And I feel like they spent a lot of time thinking about stuff they should have done pre-pandemic. Feeling ko, that's it. And diba,
That's true.
There's so many realizations.
Yeah. Funny story. I was actually gonna get my first tattoo on March 15, 2020. The first day of the lockdown.
Oh my God.
So I booked an artist na, and then
This one?
yeah, this one. Pero hindi siya natuloy kasi on my tattoo day, it was the first day of the lockdown. So parang things were canceled, ganyan. Kaya naalala ko bigla when you mentioned like the pandemic, people had time to think about it, ganyan.
Yeah.
And the design was different pa back then. Which I'm glad now kasi parang...
Isn't it amazing when you think about it? When things don't work out, it just really doesn't have to happen that time.
Yeah. It's just
now you have a more meaningful
tattoo.
tattoo.
Honestly, that's true. Because I was like very depressed back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then now this tattoo, you know, it has a more happy
Parang it was the universe telling you, no.
Wait lang.
You'll get a better tattoo next time.
Yeah, that's true. So I also wanted to ask about, apart from tattooing, so you do illustrations, you've worked with Adobe, you're featured by Adobe. How did that happen?
That was because of the pandemic, actually. This was around the time I wasn't able to tattoo. I closed my studio. And, well, the whole world was closed. And then I saw lang online, Adobe was launching projects to help people, especially in third world countries. Artists, they just wanted to help out. And so I just tried for their residency programs, told them my story, and then I got in. So, galing. Because I feel like prior to the pandemic, I don't think that opportunity wouldn't be there at all, nor would I even try. Because I don't know, it's an international brand. I don't even know if they would hear me. But then because of this pandemic, it's like, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's just try it.
And they were probably, I guess, hungry for new talent, maybe? And maybe, I'm pretty sure your style resonated with them.
I hope so. But they were, the program was amazing because they were looking to represent artists who are not normally represented in media.
That's nice.
Like, there's Southeast Asia, there's Asia, right? But we're not, the Filipino culture isn't necessarily represented. When you think of Asia, you don't necessarily think Filipino culture. And the project brief was for me to make drawings about Filipino beliefs and rituals, which is a lot, so I had a lot of content to draw. Yeah, I made 500 illustrations for them.
Okay, last few questions. I wanted to ask, you do illustrations, you do tattoos, you've done commercials, music videos, you do scents. Do you have any other hidden talents we don't know about?
I'm a Reiki healer. I saw that. I'm in my new studio. My plan is to combine tattoos and healing.
Ooh.
Yeah, like the more esoteric forms of healing. So I do Reiki, I read tarot cards, I do basic astrology. Yeah.
All right. I remember one of our writers, si Amanda. She said you were a witch.
Yeah. Not denying. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That's so interesting, though. So Reiki. What is Reiki? Reiki isn't as known here in the Philippines.
It's a Japanese energy healing modality where the healer basically just put hand movements on top of your different chakras. Yeah, and it's supposed to balance your chakras, your energy, at the very least. So, yeah, there are different responses to it.
For people who want to become a tattoo artist, what advice can you give them?
If you can, try to take an apprenticeship under someone you really trust in, and whose style resonates with your current style also. Another thing, it's always to read up and know that it's not a quick process, because some people try to rush it, want to tattoo right away. It's slow and steady when it comes to tattooing.
And lastly, for someone who is about to tattoo, like do their first ever tattoo, what words of encouragement can you give them?
Ginusto mo. Same thing, slow and steady. Do not rush it. Don't be too slow, but steady, line work. You'll do it. And also, you're always gonna learn. Don't be too disappointed if it doesn't look the way it did in your head. Because, I don't know, we're sensitive creatures as artists. Like, I've been tattooing for so many years and I'm always learning every time. So always learn.
Sorry. I know I said that was my last question. But what if you're a perfectionist?
Yeah, it's a very anxiety-inducing career, to be very honest, because it will never look exactly the way it does in your head. And so, I try not to... it's a toxic behavior of tattoo artists. We always zoom in our photos of the tattoos to see. Yeah. And sometimes even when the client says, I love it, in her head, like, really? Be kinder to yourself, be gentler to yourself. And that's something I have to do to myself too. Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much, Wiji. Thank you so much. I honestly have so many questions in mind, but of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that was Teach Me Senpai. I'm Julian Cyrnio. Thank you for watching.